Welcome to Tea with Sonya. This is the show where we have real conversations with real people and find out the behind the scenes when it comes to running your business, balancing it all, and just being a boss woman in this case. Wandia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know you're very busy.
Quite busy.
You are quite busy. And also you do a lot. And I'm really honest, when my team and I were researching you, you are such a powerhouse that a part of me was like, I want to be like you when I grow up, like growing as I grow up. And the part of me was like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I know, that sigh is what I want in reality.
I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Shit. If you feel like that.
I mean, I think the thing is, it depends. Like you can get excited about many different things. And if you're that kind of person, like every day, you're just constantly seeing things and thinking, oh my God, that would be so amazing. Shouldn't we be doing more there? Shouldn't we be doing? So that's my nature.
How do you control that? Because I have that, but the problem is I will then start something without knowing so.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, not only have I started it, but now I've publicly said it, so now I have to do it. So even this series was an idea. I've had it for years. I've wanted to do it, but I've always kind of been like, oh, who wants to hear me speak, blah, blah, blah. Then I started doing TikTok lives and Instagram lives, and people were like, you need your own YouTube channel. I was like, you know what? You're right, I do. And then I messaged Sanjeev and I was like, Sanjeev, look, I'm coming to Kenya. Let's just sort this out. And then without thinking, I started DMing people and they started confirming. And then we had a date in the diary. We didn't even have a show or a name or a concept. So I felt like now I can't let these people down.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think sometimes when it all starts to just fall into place, it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that universe conspires type way of thinking about it. Because you can have an idea and then something happens almost immediately that reinforces it. And another thing happens and you're like, okay, well, if the momentum
the energies
started,
were
the
there.
energy is just pushing, propelling you from the back forward, as opposed to some ideas, there's this push, holding you back. And I kind of learned to feel the difference and to let go when it starts to feel like this just isn't the timing. So that's one thing. Secondly, I think having a team that can tell you, hang on, we've just started this thing, now you want to do this, that, really what do you want?
That second point is life, like game changing. I am now very blessed that I have a team who not only call me out of my bullshit, but will stop me. And they're like, you promised you were not going to start new things. You promised you were not going to give new opportunities out. You even promised you weren't going to share that selfie on Instagram. We're taking your access away.
And it's good.
And they've done that. They blocked me.
It requires a good relationship where they feel safe enough to say that. I mean, for me, for a long time, people would just say, okay. And then balls would start dropping here, there, and whatever. And, there's only so many people you can do in 24-hour days, So yeah, like I'm constantly, 3 o'clock in the morning is probably when all the ideas come.
When you're sleeping.
When you wake up in the middle of the night.
And put it on your phone.
No, it's just that's when your mind
Oh my God, I'm so glad you've said that, because I thought it was just me.
Really?
I'm so glad that someone has validated the fact. I wake up at 3 a.m. and I will go on my phone and I'll type up all the notes. So once I had a keynote a couple of days later, and I promised you I woke up and I wrote down the way my slides should be in order because I was dreaming of it. But then I do feel like I don't get a great sleep.
No, of course not. But you get great ideas. So you sleep over the weekend.
Do you sleep over the weekend?
I try. I mean, I'm not a good sleeper, so sleep is like my biggest.
Do you think any entrepreneur is a good sleeper?
I think so. I think I'm just naturally a bad sleeper. I was a bad sleeper before I got into business.
Okay.
So sleep is probably my biggest challenge. Like getting regular, consistent sleep.
I'm sure there's some brand watching this being like, Wandia, we're going to help your sleep and here's some tablets that you can take.
I don't want tablets.
Oh.
But I will do other things. I've tried.
Meditation?
I'll do meditation.
Can you meditate?
I've even tried those sort of electrode things that you, yeah.
And nothing's helped?
I mean, they help. I'm not that disciplined, so I don't know that I give things a consistent.
Oh my God, I love what you've just said. You're not that disciplined.
No, I'm not that disciplined.
You have a lot of ideas.
Yes.
Do you think you're focused? And driven is different from focused.
No, so I can be singularly focused for short periods of time.
Okay.
So like, I can get tunnel vision and just say, we're just going to do this, but I'm not someone who can sustain that for a bit because I'll then want to move to the next thing and the next thing.
Same. So you get bored easily?
I get bored by routine. I love challenge.
I just love this conversation.
I love challenge. I love having an ambitious goal. I like having things that scare me. I think it was Ellen Ceylon, the ex-president of Sierra Leone or Liberia, who said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And I feel that, like if we're sitting there and we're saying, well, what's our big goal for next year? If that doesn't sort of make me go, then that's not big enough.
I agree with you.
But at the same time, it shouldn't be impossible. You need to sort of
so ambitious.
You have to see that, yeah, man, it's not going to be easy. We're going to have to really figure this out. But man, if we can get there, how good are we going to feel? How much difference are we going to make? That kind of thing.
But at the same time, you must be exhausted.
Yeah, because I don't sleep.
But you don't sleep, but also you have a lot of ideas, and ideation takes a certain amount of brain power. And I think the more you do, the more you become, the more you achieve, the more you want. And then your lack of sleep or your kind of distorted sleep, in addition to that, I think individuals get burnt out fairly quickly.
I mean, I think, and again, I don't have the answers. I'm just, I'm figuring it out myself as I go.
Perfect.
But what's working for me is to try and always distill what is the most important thing. Because there's hundreds of things that could work towards this goal, but there are probably 2 or 3 that are the most important. So if you can try and focus on that and get the people that you're working with to remember the most important thing. So if it's, for example, the response from the customers.
Yes.
Like, how our customers feel is going to be the most important thing that's going to set us apart in terms of the experience they have. In my case, we have a fashion brand.
Well, let's get on to that.
Okay.
For those who don't know, because we went on a beautiful tangent, and that's what I want this to be. I want this to be a really raw, open conversation, not scripted, which is not. What do you do? And how did you get there?
So for the last 12 years, I've run a fashion brand in Kenya. So it's primarily a ladies' fashion brand. We design, we manufacture, and we retail. We now have 21 stores, so 20 in Kenya, 1 in Rwanda, and we think we'll have 30 by the end of next year.
I hope so.
Employ about 250 people, and we recently launched a sister company, which is a fashion marketplace. So for those in the UK, ASOS.
Yeah, I've heard you're the ASOS of Kenya.
Well,
that is the statement that people are telling me.
That is the goal. So that's a very different business. It's tech, it's logistics, purely e-commerce, multi-brands. You're dealing with vendors as well as customers, and all of that stuff. So there's that, and with underneath those 2 businesses are multiple different work streams and design, production, content, marketing.
How did you find time for this?
It doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? It's like you start, it's a step at a time.
No, I mean, how did you find time to be on this?
To be here
for this tea?
Because
you're telling me things and I'm like, shit, that sounds like so much work to do. How am I going to manage my task list and yours?
You get to the point where you have good teams, and the teams are doing the day-to-day kind of operational stuff for the most part. I mean, I still get way too involved. In fact, they're like, leave us alone, go away, we're good, right? You need to be thinking about next year and the year after that.
Yes.
And occasionally, when we really need you, we'll call you in to unfuck something.
Yeah, unfucking stuff. But sometimes as a leader, you fuck things up.
Absolutely. And then you've got to...
And then you get called out on it.
Yeah.
But I've also personally in my own business, so I'm 2 and a bit years in, by the time this comes out, probably 3 years in. And I've found it really difficult to now think of myself as a business person. I run a business. I know I run a business. I'm super proud of the business I run, but it started as an idea. Actually, it started as a brunch club, which is crazy. And then I made it into a business. And it's not brunches we do anymore. We do mentoring programs, we do career programs, we do consultancy, we do advisory, we do community engagement. Like, we do the work. But in the beginning, I wanted everyone to join my team. Everyone was like, we love what you're doing. I'm like, I've got a job for you. And then I'd have interns who come in, and I felt like I had to train them up. But I also got quite like elder sister about it. I was like, no, it's fine. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you through. I'm going to help you through. And then it became really hard to fire them. And I feel like I've spent a lot of time trying to understand how to people manage, that now I have to actually be a people manager. And those are skills that you don't really learn or know. And you fuck up a lot.
Yeah, and people is the most important thing, you know, and I'm 12 years in, I still mess up. I still make the wrong hiring decision sometimes, or I make it very difficult for people to succeed once they're in, because, you know, you've got to let go, and you've got to trust, and you've got to spend more time encouraging than criticizing. And I'm a very forward-looking person. I'm rarely, you know, it doesn't matter how well we did yesterday. What about tomorrow? Do you know what I mean? My tendency is to see the things that aren't working and not necessarily, you know. So that can be a real sort of
I see that
damper.
And if I was a team member of yours and we were going through like a feedback session, what would you say is your gap in your skills, or what would you say would be your first and kind of most prominent, for better terms, criticism?
Yeah, they would say you're very tough. You push really hard. You're so impatient. You don't sort of encourage enough. So I get that feedback, and I'm aware of it, and I am trying. You know,
as long as we're trying.
I am trying, and I'm also trying not to interfere too much, because I go from this sort of big picture to tiny detail, you know, like, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to change the world. And why isn't that him absolutely straight?
I understand.
Because you want everything to be just right, always. So a bit of that perfectionist sort of
I asked
attitude.
this because we did this exercise with my team a couple of weeks ago. And they were like, you are super ambitious, and you are passionate, and you have energy. And they were like, but you lack focus, and you're a procrastinator. And they're like, we don't understand how you could be a procrastinator, giving all the amount of work that you do, that we just don't get it.
Define procrastination, because you take a while to get back to them and stuff, or?
So I'm like, we'll do it tomorrow. Don't worry about it. But it's not just to them, it's also to me. So I know we shouldn't, but a client's like, what is your T's and C's for sponsorship? I'm like, oh, we'll push it on Monday. Oh, it's not done by Monday? It's fine, we'll push it on Wednesday. Or like an impact report, I'm like, I need this in a week. And a week's gone, they're like, oh, we need another week. I'm like, it's fine, we'll do it. Or even for myself. And I find that I'm really good at the big ideas. I'm really good at starting something. But sometimes the pushing through and the actual carrying it on is different.
I think the challenge also is sometimes we think we should be able to do that all. It's very difficult for the big ideas person to also be the great implementer. And I think what you might need at some point is someone, you know, like a chief of staff or something, with someone with you who's just there to make sure these things get done and get done on time, and police people and yourself as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, ultimately you will confuse people.
Absolutely.
Around what.
And they say that actually, they use the word confusion. They're like, you are great, but you are very confusing. And I'm like, I've heard a lot of words about me, not confusing, but that's a great, it's great. I'd rather take that than a lot of other things I've heard. Yeah. And that's where it's at. But how do you find the time to do other things? So, you know, I know it's silly, but how do you find the time to like go and do your nails if that's what you do, or go for a jog, or
don't do my nails, don't do my hair,
or like sit and just like, you know, have a cup of tea by yourself?
So my evenings are pretty free.
Okay.
My kids have now gone to study overseas, and so they're not at home anymore. So my evenings is my time to socialize, my time to get in some exercise if I have the energy, which often I don't. And the weekends. So I mean, I do work. I do take work home. I do work on weekends as well sometimes, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I find time, and what I tend to be drawn to the things I enjoy the most, not the things that are good for me. So the exercise often gets left out, but I do see friends. I like a glass of wine. I like dancing. So there's lots of
There's
stuff.
fun things you enjoy. And so in the last few months, and I like to be quite authentic. So I think I've spoken about this online a few times, but there are times where I just want to stop and quit and not carry on. And I think, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing it? Like, not is it fulfilling? I think I'm fulfilled. But it's a lot of hard work. And you think, is this hard work sustainable long term for your mind, your body, your soul? Or do you want to live more of that like simpler life? And I'm not sure. This is a statement, both a question. And I know that on my days I want to quit, going back to your point about energies, I'm very grateful and unfortunate at the same time that when I do want to quit, something comes and hits me like a sign. They're like, no, you've now done this, you've been recognized here. So the world is telling me don't do it. But the times I do not want to do anything, I will delete everything in my calendar. I will just sit on the sofa. I will binge watch Netflix. I will turn my phone off. I'd maybe, have about 17 cups of tea and some ice cream and just sit. And in those moments, I've realized that it's not that I'm ungrateful, because I'm very grateful. It's that as business people, we don't give ourselves enough time to just sit and appreciate how far we've actually come. And it sounds like to me, yes, you don't reflect on the past, but if you're always forward thinking, do you actually take that time just to sit, one, when you're in times of quitting, but two, when you're in times of like remembrance?
So I never want to quit. I sometimes want to break.
Okay, maybe that's what I mean. Break. Quit is maybe a dramatic word, but
and not that I never want to quit, but I never, I feel very responsible to my team, to my shareholders.
Yeah.
So, there are times when I sort of lose a bit of the enthusiasm.
Yes.
So it just starts to feel like just a heavy burden.
And so that's what I mean, but I'm kind of dramatic.
Okay.
So I'd be like, I want to quit. When I mean I quit, it's like I don't feel enthusiastic. I know I have to show up for my team. I've got people to feed, and that's more responsibility. I've got family to look after. I've got a team to look after. This is your like life and soul. But there are moments where you just want a big like red button that says pause. Like when you're on like the treadmill and it's like pause, cool down.
People used to say, oh my God, business is blood, sweat, and tears. It's so hard, it's so hard. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't feel that. Like, I don't. And then COVID hit.
Okay.
And the 2020, 2021 were the hardest years that since I've been in business.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is the blood, sweat, and
tears that they were talking about.
Everyone talked about. And this year is the first time since COVID that I started to relax again and feel excited about what I think we can achieve. And I think for me, the excitement is when I think this can be much bigger than just me or just us. You know what I mean? I think, so again, it's about what excites you. I'm not that excited about making money, as much as money is great and it gives us a nice lifestyle.
Yeah.
But actually the thought of creating 1,000 jobs and the thought of...
So impact, value-led business.
And changing an industry. See, like trying to demonstrate, I think one of the things that Vivo has done is sort of proven that local fashion is serious business.
Yes.
Like real money can be made here and wealth can be created, not just for us as shareholders, but we can show, other entrepreneurs, other businesses, and support them to grow. And to see this industry get, now we're thinking about how do we take Vivo to the US.
Wow.
I mean, why not? Zara started in a tiny village in Spain.
And now it's like everywhere.
Why can't a business that started in Nairobi be sold in, Los Angeles
and it can.
Or whatever? Why not?
And one thing that you've said is really, really important. And remember, like, whilst I'm on this show, I'm also trying to do this so I can learn about myself. So I'm reflecting in the moment. Is I started my business like in COVID, 2020. And before that, I was in corporate. So I think the first 2 years was just me having fun and figuring it out and messing up a lot and failing and getting back up. And I think now I feel this real responsibility, and you're facing a lot more rejections. Yes, it's not you want to quit. It's you just want to take a step back, and you kind of want to delete your calendar and have no admin and just think, what does the future look like? And let me have a clarity or a moment with no other responsibilities just to figure that out, because now I have a team depending on me. And I have a company, I have a business.
The other thing that's really helped me is having sort of opportunities to look at strategy outside of my day-to-day. So whether that's through programs, whether it's through networks, peer groups, whatever, I build in.
You build on those days and sessions.
100%.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can, I believe in writing things down. I like having something. And I mean, as much as, people would say, oh yeah, 5-year strategies, what's that about? The 6-year strategy that we developed in 2017 is coming to an end next year. And we're on target.
Wow. So it's about writing, fulfilling,
it's writing and
movement.
Obviously how we're getting there, some of those tactics have changed or whatever, but it's just, and it helps for those of us who aren't that disciplined and who can be pulled in 100 different directions. It's like, okay,
this is the focus.
Is this going to help us get to where we want to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have something that you can filter against.
Yeah.
So yes, within that, there's multiple ways. So like you were saying, I mean, as you travel around the world, but who am I looking for to speak to?
Yeah.
I want to meet women. I want to meet
absolutely
people who are, making change in certain areas or whatever.
One of my team members said to me, "You have founder FOMO." I was like, what does that mean? She's like, you actually have FOMO in the strangest way. She's like, it's not you want to go out, you want to party, you want to celebrate. She's like, you get FOMO from what other people are doing, and then you want to do it too. And I was like, that's such a great way of putting it. And one of the exercises we're doing as a business, and I'm doing as a person, is taking a step back and reevaluating and saying, what is my driver? And money is not my driver. Money isn't important. Money will make changes. It will progress the world. It will evolve. But if I wanted money, I would stay in that corporate job, and I'd know what my salary is every month, and I would get the benefits and the healthcare and the sick days that come with it. And I would have that. Being an entrepreneur and a business person, it's the fact that it's vibrant. It can bring something new to your life. And I'm very impact driven. It's how many jobs I'm creating, how many lives I'm changing, how many people are going to watch this and feel like, you know what? We've taken something away and we can go do it, and we can give ourselves a chance to bet on ourselves. You spoke about the fact that money's not your driver. At what point did you learn that money wasn't your driver? And how did that change the way that you saw the world around you, including your relationship with your own family to start with?
So I did an MBA in Cape Town in 1996. And that could have been the turning point where, because a lot of my classmates were all going into these high-flying corporate jobs, consultancy, investment banking, blah, 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 and getting offers that were more money than I'd ever thought about. But I was interviewed, I was offered jobs, I'd look at these salaries, but I'd look at the job description and I'm like, I will die. Like, that's not going to feed my soul, So I think I've always known that I have to be excited about what I'm doing in order to stay committed, to get up every day, because it's going to be hard. It's hard whether you're in corporate. So you need to know yourself. And I love being in a decision-making place. I don't like having to go 3 steps up and have somebody else decide whether my idea makes sense. So I like that sort of, I've come up with an idea. Yes, I've got to convince my team that it's worth it. And then boom, we can implement. I love action. I hate thinking about things for a very long time and never seeing them. I'd rather do what you've done. You've thought about it. You're like, hey, jump in. They say in entrepreneurs, you sort of, you jump off the cliff and figure it out on the way down.
Which is what this is.
Yeah,
For anyone watching, they're like, why are your legs up? Why are you just slouching? Why are you having a cup of tea? I'm like, because that's normal.
And it's just,
this is how
minimize the risk. I mean, I wouldn't try a new thing and put, half our budget
Absolutely.
into it. But if it can be in a sort of measured way, try it. Try, test.
And go for it. And that brings me on to a great question. So something that I really want this series to be is, I want our guests to give us a learning point or a challenge, or just leave us feeling a certain way. So I'd love to ask you as we start to wrap up, what is something you want to teach me or us? What is a challenge that you want to share? Or what is something that you want us to go away and learn?
Oh, man. Okay. I think maybe it would be to learn how to challenge our own sort of thoughts and reactions to things. Because to me, the thing around fear often is what stops people from trying to do the thing they want to do. And I've learned over the years to sort of understand when my fear is legitimate and when it's an exciting fear. But just having fear should never be the reason that you don't try things. And I mean, it's something I have teenage girls, and I encourage my younger one to try and go to an overseas university for her IB, not university, high school for her IB. And she really pushed back. And, and we had to have this whole conversation around, is it because she really doesn't want to go because she doesn't think that's the best thing for her future and da-da-da, or is it just because she's scared? And just being scared sometimes should tell you that's where you should go. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you need to follow your fear, not run away from it. Because the fear is telling you that's exciting, but it's scary. Of course it's going to be scary. So that would be something. Like every time you start to feel a little bit afraid, let that not be something that holds you back automatically. But you should get curious. Get curious about those fears and what is it really telling you?
You can literally see the big smile on my face because I feel like this is exactly what I need to hear right now. Like you are speaking directly to me, at me, my soul right now. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have these conversations is I just want to speak to cool people doing even cooler things. And I want to not only learn, but normalize the fact that we don't know what we're doing sometimes, but we're not afraid to figure it out. So Wandia, thank you so much for coming to Series 1. We are here in Kenya, Nairobi. For everyone watching, for myself included, what is the one thing that I should make sure I experience when I'm in Kenya? It's a big question, I understand.
Oh, gosh. I mean, they're the obvious, the safaris and whatever, but I'd like you to eat Kenyan food.
Okay.
Eat ugali.
Okay.
But make sure it's with a nice stew, fish stew or something like that, and with your hands.
Perfect.
All right.
I will take a picture of that and put it online and tag you so I can prove it. Wandia, thank you so much for your time. For those who are watching, how can they get in touch with you, find you, follow you?
Wandia Gichuru on Instagram, Vivo Woman, shops there too. Google us. There's plenty of stuff you can find. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching this episode of Tea with Sonya. You can obviously subscribe below. You can share your comments. You can get involved. You can connect with me directly if you want to be on the next season. But most importantly, I want you to take away the challenges, the learnings, and the lessons that we're discussing on this show. Go and grab your cup of tea or coffee or whatever you drink. Share this with your friends and family. And I wish you the best of luck in whatever you choose to do. I just love the taste of tea.
Okay. But you're excited. It's good.
This is my constant energy.
Okay.
Till about 9 p.m. And then 9 p.m., the moment I stop talking, I'm tired. So you will know, go to bed. At 9 p.m., my husband's like, get to bed. It's like your battery's drained, it's fine.